In addition to using the pen tool to draw paths and to draw your brand mark or image for your logo, you'll also want to use type. So we'll talk a little bit about type and how to use it in Illustrator to help create your logo or to put it into your web ad as well. The type tool is in the main toolbar here, so we'll click on that. And then let's click and drag a box. It automatically fills it full of type, so I'm going to select all of that type. If you don't see the highlighted, go back in here and choose under View, Show Edges. And then I'm going to delete all of that type. And here's my business, the ever popular Craig's Cat Grooming. By the way, I'm enlarging this type, with a quick key, Command Shift, and then the greater than, less than symbols. So this is the basics to setting type. I can close this box. I'm doing that by holding my Command key down, and you get the bounding box around it. So I can also move this down here. So if I select my type, let's just say I want just cat here. I can go up in my control. Again, if your control isn't up here, you can go to Window and Control. So I can choose under Character a whole bunch of different typefaces. You will notice that it's changing behind me here. Let me move this over just a little bit. And when I have this selected, as I go through here, it'll show me what cat will look like in these different typefaces. And I can also set the weight of the type over here. This one only has one. I need to open this up a little bit so I can see grooming. If I want to change the color of my type, I do that the same way that I did the shapes that we drew. I can select the type I want and go and change that color. Select this, change that color. If I want to rotate my type, you'll notice it has this little bar with a handle on the end of it. If I hover over my corner to rotate, it's only going to rotate the box. And that gets frustrating for some students because they can't get it to rotate the type itself. So all you have to do is double click on this and it will turn this little handle into an open handle, and now you can rotate it. If I want to rotate it vertically, I can hold my Shift key down and it will go on the 45s and the 90s here. And that will maintain it, and then if I want to double click here, now I can go back in and edit that if I want. So let's say I don't have a typeface in here in my system that I like to use, that I want to choose my own. I'm going to go to the web, and I went to fontsquirrel.com. It's a great place to start looking for new or kind of contemporary typefaces. This is 100% free for commercial use, which as a graphic designer, you should start to use only typefaces that are for commercial use. If you go to other websites that have free typefaces, you really should look at the license, usually included in a text file, and that will tell you if these are available to use, available for use, for commercial use if you do it for freelance, or if they just restrict you to using it for personal things like a personal website or a Christmas card. So Font Squirrel is a great place to start. They do a good job. The first tab here in their navigation is the hot list, and this basically is a nice kind of social media component where it shows the hottest fonts today. These don't change too often. I notice every now and then some are added, but this is a really good way to look at what designers around the world are downloading from the very popular Font Squirrel. And if you choose something in here, you probably can't go wrong making sure that you are keeping up to date and with the trends and the styles of the graphic design industry. You should still think about how the typeface fits the message you're trying to communicate and your audience, but this is a good place to start. So if I want one of these typefaces, and let's just say I want to use this Poppins here, I can click on this. I can just download it right here, but if I want to look in here and see what type of weights they have, this is important. I can see all the different weights that are available. This goes all the way from black all the way down to thin. This is what we used to call a good book font, and not all free typefaces have all of these different weights, but a good book font, think about setting type for a book. You might need to have a really thin typeface for part of it, a lighter typeface, accent a certain headline, or a chapter in bold or semi-bold, and maybe for an artistic part of the book you need something that's really, really black or extra bold. You need a lot of weights. It's kind of limiting if you find a typeface that only has a regular and a bold, or only a regular. Those are traditionally just display fonts, and they're meant to be used for a headline, and that's about it. So here, if I decide I want to use Poppins, I will download the OTF. That stands for Open Typeface, or Open Type Font, and that basically means that it will cross platforms. It will work on a Windows machine and also a Mac operating system machine. So once I download this, this should go to either your downloads folder, or in my case it went to my desktop. So it comes out as a zip file. I'm simply going to double click this, and it will open up a folder for me with all of those different weights in that font family. And to load this into our system folder in the Mac, all we will do, by the way, this is your SIL open license here, so read through that and kind of familiarize yourself with that. But all I'm going to do is select all of these open type fonts here and double click them. And Mac will automatically launch. If you look down right over here, Font Book, which is the font management system in Mac, and then just click Install. And that will install it into Font Book. Close this. And that should be everything. So we'll remember the name Poppins. Put this back over here. And now if we go back into Illustrator and I select my type, I go up here, I can just type in Poppins, and now you see I have all of these weights. So let's choose maybe a nice thin here, see how that looks. It's kind of a cool looking typeface. And that's how you load these. So if I want to have part of this thick and part of this thin, I can use my weight here and just go to light or medium. Maybe not too much of a difference there. Change this half to medium, maybe semi-bold. And that's how I can adjust it. If I don't like this, as far as my logo goes, if I want to change something, maybe I want the G to be different, or the R, or the lowercase descenders in the G to be different. Another thing I can do is I can take this font, and if I go Command Y, it'll kind of put me into preview or wireframe mode. You'll see that this is type in here because it's solid black. I'm going to duplicate a copy of this. I'm just simply holding down my Option and Shift key and dragging. So now when I select this, what I can do is I can go here to Type, Create Outlines. And this is going to basically take all of my type and make it into a drawing. Let me go into wireframe here so you can see how these look. If I select this one here, convert this to outlines, you'll see that now this has converted it. So I have to make sure I spelled everything right because I can't go back from this. That's why I made a copy up above here to adjust or to keep in case I did want to change it, or the customer wants to make a change to Craig's kitten grooming or something like that. So now, since this is basically just another drawing, a shape, I can take my direct select tool. I can select the bottom of these descenders if I want, and I can pull these down using my arrow key. And I can start to adjust this just like a regular drawing. I could take this piece here, make this a little bit larger. Maybe I want these to drop down a little bit too to make it artistic. Maybe I want this to be a little bit larger. And when I go back or out of my wireframe, you can see that all those adjustments kept the same fill that they did before. So that's another option to adjust your type. And when we're creating a logo, a lot of us do want to do that, where we like the type, but there's always one little thing that the typographer didn't do that we want to adjust or change. So one last thing I want to show you with type is sometimes a customer will send you type and you're not sure what typeface it is. Font Squirrel has a cool identifier that we can use. I'm going to go back to just my website here and the course website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up the size of this type and make it pretty large so I can get a clean screen capture of one of these. Try to choose as many different letters as you can. So I'm going to type Command-Shift-4 and I'm just going to grab the word marketing here. We'll make a screen capture of that. And then I'm going to go back to Font Squirrel. And in this nav, there's this tab called Font Identifier. I'm going to click on that. And what this will allow you to do is upload an image. So I took a screen capture, but a client could have sent you a brochure and you don't know what typeface that is. And you could just scan in the brochure. So here I'm going to take my screen capture of the word marketing, click OK, and then it's going to process it and look for identifying letters in here. Now it's picked up on these letters, made them individual letters. I'm going to click on this maturate down here. It'll identify those letters. Now what I want to do is I want to get rid of these that I have to pay for and just choose Font Squirrel and click maturate it again. So you'll see that of the free fonts that are commercially available to use on Font Squirrel, it has identified Roboto Bold Condensed. And because that's my website we were just on, that is the exact typeface I'm using. The reason I screen captured marketing is because Roboto has a pretty unique K, and I wanted to see if it would identify that. So now I can just click on this, and I found that if this was my customer or my client, I found the typeface they want, and I can download it. If you don't find the exact typeface, you can always find something similar and try to get approval from your client. You can see Roboto has a whole bunch of different weights and styles in the family, which makes it an excellent book font. So once I found that, I could go back into Illustrator. I could download that, load it into the system, and then use it in Illustrator for the client's logo. Thank you.